Shalom, shalom and welcome. Welcome to White Roads family. My name is Symmanayah, and these are the words I am compelled to present before a set-apart nation. Yashar'al, commonly known as Israel, a people, not a geographic location. This is part of the visible countermeasures sequence of videos to highlight the things that the enemy wants to snatch our attention and direct our attention to in an effort to distract us from what the Almighty Father is saying for us to do. Make no mistake, O Yashar'al, we are beyond types and shadows. In this segment of visible countermeasures meaning the Almighty Father is showing one thing, the wicked one wants us to look at another. We will find, my brothers and sisters, that it is paramount to grow in discipline on what we are to be focusing on, what we are to be doing as end times become intense. This is part 4 of visible countermeasures, and I want to mention the matter regarding ventilators, CPR, intubation, and stirring of spirits. But before I get into this segment, my brothers and sisters, let me read the following. Warning and disclaimer. The information contained in White Rose family represent instructions and warnings to individuals who believe they are drawn by the Almighty Creator Yahuah to Yahusha Mashyach. The content presented centers around end-time realities. Please be advised this site is not intended for children under 16 years of age due to its content. Has to be compliant with the media platforms that I use, my brothers and sisters. Make no mistake, Isaiah 55:11, which speaks of Yahuwah's word not returning to him empty, will have its course. By continuing forward, you agree to hold Symmanayah harmless of any influence in or actions that arise as a result of watching, listening, and reviewing the content presented. The views expressed do not reflect the owners, management, and or shareholders of this media platform. Please note that I am not affiliated with anyone or organization with similar names. With this said, my brothers and sisters, as I stated, this is part 4. Ventilators, CPR, intubation, and stirring of spirits. My brothers and sisters, make no mistake, things have disrupted our lives, to say the least. The widespread of this coronavirus, COVID-19, in addition to all other diseases and plagues and challenges that we face, are before us. I want to ask you this question, O Yashar'al. Are you satisfied with the leaders, your mores, your teachers, your pastors, your bishops, your shepherds? Are you satisfied with your group leader, with the instructions that you're receiving during such a time as this? It's easy to talk about Babylon as fallen. We see widespread debates on who is Babylon or what is Babylon. There are debates and discussions and words and narratives about the judgment of the Almighty Father. But are our leaders providing the information we need to equip us individually of what to do and how to do it and how to discern and obey what the Most High is saying to us, the Almighty Father Yahuah, in Yahusha's name? What is he saying to us? Are they teaching you that? Are they teaching you the importance of discerning? Are they echoing that the power of the Almighty Father is within you and will quicken and stir your spirit, my spirit, our spirits? Are they equipping you with the things that you would need in the event they should die or you be separated from them as things ramp up? Each and every one of us, my brothers and sisters, are tasked with duties during these end times. Make no mistake. Again, I ask you the question, are you satisfied with the leadership? Whether it be moray, teacher, bishop, pastor, elder, someone that calls himself a priest, a husband, a community leader, a group leader. If not, O Yashar'al, Search within your spirit and weigh things against the scriptures as they are made alive to see what choice you must make or you must prepare to make as it relates to being with someone that is not satisfying what you are tasked to do. They should be able to confirm or reaffirm what Yahusha is saying to you. They should be able to spread the knowledge and teachings that equipped you, me, us, with knowing what we must do and expect. There's a lot of talk, my brothers and sisters, about life. People choosing who lives and who die among this COVID-19. There's a huge cry and narrative for ventilators. There's a lot of talk for administering CPR to keep people alive and intubation, putting tubes down their throat to connect the ventilators. But I say to you, O Yashar'al, in all that we see, when people talk about the hype or the fears, we should fear Yahuah, the Almighty Father. But the fear what man can do to us, the fear of losing these earthen vessels should not be there, O Yashar'al. And I say to you, there's a stirring of wicked spirits to fight, to distract. The judgment of the Almighty Father. How many of us had ever given thought to what were the details and processes? What will it look like? Do you think it's just a matter of saying famine and pestilence and there is no fallout? Do you think it's just a matter of saying disease and there are no fallouts? I submit to you, as things become widespread, things that we see with our eyes, hear with our ears, I submit to you, the Almighty Father's drawing power will quicken and stir. I will submit a case in this segment, how our spirits, our inward spirit that is joined with the Almighty Father in Yahusha's name, will indeed stir. And as our physical bodies reach exhaustion in terms of asking questions of why and when from a natural and practical perspective, and start asking questions before the Almighty Father of what will you have me to do? When we get tired, we will begin to ask the Father. We will seek the Almighty Father in Yahusha's name and seek answers. We will recognize the stirring of spirits. Countermeasures mean there are one things the enemy is showing on one hand, and on the other hand, there's something that the Most High wants us to see. My brothers and sisters, I cannot stress enough how end times will prove the battle will be made clear. We will begin to look at the countermeasures that the wicked ones are doing to get our minds off of what the Spirit of the Most High is saying and revealing to us. And as it is made clear, we will grow in strength and discipline. Come with me, my brothers and sisters, as I continue. Fear and knowledge, spirit and truth. Make no mistake, COVID-19, the medical term that's widely circulated right now, is real. The need for ventilators, a machine, is real. Doctors, nurses, and medical personnel constantly providing CPR to help keep people alive who are experiencing cardiovascular, or should I say cardio arrest. This is an action to get the heart to beat again, to get it back beating. Intubation. It's a tube inserted into the lungs to help connect the ventilator as it provides assistance with breathing. These are real, my brothers and sisters. And if you know of someone, or if you're on the front line and witnessing someone go through these trying, to say the least, experiences, sure, it's easy for fear to come upon us. But let us fear Yahuah, for it is written, the fear of Yahuah is the beginning of knowledge. And he will give us the knowledge of how to respond, what we need to do. By spirit and in truth, we will be guided on what to do. Remember, we have an inward man, and it's our spirit that lives forever, O Yashar'al. We must, and we will, come to the point, my brothers and sisters, But we can recognize that in spite of the things that are most loud, most obvious, most prevailing before our very eyes and ears, let us embrace the knowledge that it is the inward man that will live forever, that the everlasting life we have received by Yahushua Mashyach takes priority over all. Let us begin to adjust. Again, I'm not making light. Funerals and deaths and people on the brink of physical death, some have recovered. Yashar'al, Yashar'al. For such a time as this, it's time for us to recognize the realities of end-time prophecies. Come with me and let me share with you these verses of which I speak of often. Deuteronomy 8:3. And he humbled you and let you suffer hunger and fed you with manna which you did not know, nor did your fathers know, to make you know that man does not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from the mouth of Yahuah. Each person that survives this coronavirus, each person that is alive that have not succumbed to it, each person that may be asymptomatic, that is physically alive, it is by the word of the Almighty Father. Proverbs 1:7 I speak of often. The fear of Yahuah is the beginning of knowledge. Fools despise wisdom and discipline. If ever so there was a time to embrace the knowledge that the Most High has for us, the discipline, the wisdom he has for his children, that time is now. In the fear of Yahuah, strong trust in his children have a place of refuge. Yashar'al, Yashar'al. We are in our prospective homes, apartments, tents, cars, or space on the street. But make no mistake, wherever that refuge is, soon and very soon, movement will come for a set-apart awakening nation. My brothers and sisters, beware of the many distractions. Embrace the need to focus. It is important. For the sake of what must be fulfilled, I cannot stress enough the importance of focus. Coming away from distractions. Will we see? Will we hear? Will we recognize things unfolding? Sure we will. But let us not get stuck and stare like a deer staring in headlights. Let us not get stuck or be consumed with pain and grief and hurt. Know this, O Yashar'al, the Almighty Father is still the Almighty One. From the beginning to the end, this plan he's laid out, what's making it difficult for many of us is the fact that we didn't think about the details and processes. Or we had teachers saying, I ain't worried about that. I ain't worried about that. We're not supposed to worry, but it says be filled with the Spirit. It says worship, walk in obedience to him, discern his living guidance. And if you search the scriptures, it talks about times of preparedness as well as times for implementing the things that he would have us to do. Yashar'al, oh Yashar'al, it's time for us to understand the dynamics and the importance of focusing, or otherwise we'll be consumed by the deaths of loved ones, even many leaders. There are mores, teachers, pastors. There are spiritual leaders who will begin to get terminally ill. Some will get ill and out of repentance rise up in the strength and power of the blood of the Lamb. And some will die. And some it will become obvious that they are unlearned and undiscerning, and the Most High will call us away from them. These are hard words. I ask you again, are you satisfied with your leader? If not, pray and seek and discern. Are you the one to help bring that person into restoration, into obedience? Or does the Most High want you to leave? Consider these words, O Yashar'al, regarding focus. Proverbs 4:25 through 27 say, let your eyes look forward and your eyelids look straight before you. Consider the path of your feet, and all your ways are established. Do not turn to the right or the left. Turn your foot away from evil. And Proverbs 6:4 says, give no sleep to your eyes, no slumber to your eyelids. My brothers and sisters, looking forward is what's going to help us to get through and endure until the end. Until that day, the Most High chooses to rest us in a grave until such time as resurrection, or until such time as the Most High will guide us to the promised land. We have a lot of work to do, and there's a journey ahead of us, O Yashar'al. Let me continue. My brothers and sisters, make no mistake. Let's visit words regarding the stirring of our spirits. Psalm 35:22-24 says, this you have seen, O Yahuah, do not be silent, O Yahuah, do not be far from me. Stir up yourself and awake to my right rulings, to my cause, my Almighty One and my Master. Rule me rightly, O Yahuah, my Almighty One, according to your righteousness, and let them not rejoice over me. Stir up, my brothers and sisters. We will find that the stirring up of spirit is what energizes, what motivates, what fuels us to do what we must and will come to do to complete specific end-time prophecies. Zechariah 9:13 says, and I shall bend Yehudah for me. I shall fill the bowl with Ephraim, and I shall stir up your sons, O Sion, against your sons, O Greece, and I shall make you like the sword of a mighty man. Stir up. There's a quickening that will come, O Yashar'al. There's a quickening that will stir our spirits and get us to be active, functional, beyond what we're doing today. Let me read more regarding the stirring of our spirits. 2 Timothy 1:6 says, for this reason I remind you to stir up the gift of the Almighty One which is in you through the laying on of my hands. Stir up the gift, my brothers and sisters. Stir up meaning understand, discerning, acting, not being slothful or lazy, but discerning what the Spirit is saying, identifying the gift that we have received. There are many gifts, there are many members. Unity will come in every gift that has been bestowed, that has been given to us, O Yashar'al, by the Almighty Father, has its purpose. Hebrews 10:24-25 says, and let us be concerned for one another in order to stir up love and good works, not forsaking the assembling of ourselves together as in the habit of some, but encouraging, and so much more as you see the day coming near. Again, I ask, are you satisfied with your spiritual leaders? You see, my brothers and sisters, the forsaking of the assembly. There are individuals who will manipulate people that are unlearned by throwing this verse to force and coerce people to just get into any assembly, any group, any fellowship, any camp or community. There are people that will lift their community, their camp, their fellowship and group up above any and everybody else. Oftentimes, their leaders are spoken of more so than Yahusha Mashyach. I say to you, my brothers and sisters, a time of judgment has begun at the house of the Most High. We will grow in discerning what assembly we are to be associated with. Some of us will find ourselves being chosen to lead an assembly, to serve an assembly. And we will see small assemblies come into greater numbers to larger assemblies as we begin to merge into unity, as we begin to rise. There will be an emergence of 144,000 Hebrews, Abrahym, my brothers and sisters. There will also be a great multitude of many nations, kindreds, and tongues. Together, we will emerge during these end times. And soon and very soon, my brothers and sisters, we will understand that our priority should be identifying that it is the breath of Yahuah that takes priority over the physical ventilator. It is the breath and word of Yahuah that takes priority over trying to make someone's heart beat when he has the power to give life physically and to take it away. It is time for us to recognize, my brothers and sisters, that intubation, though these are natural and practical things that happen, the power of prayer and yielding to the power and might of the Almighty Father is much greater. Because even physicians come to the point that says, that's all we can do. We don't know what else to do. And look at those that have survived. Just as it is written, he reigned on the just and the unjust. He delivers the just. He delivers the unjust to show his love, to show that he fulfill and stay consistent with his word. Make no mistake, O Yashar'al, end times are here. We must and we will learn what it means to stir up the spirit within us. 2 Peter 3:1-4 reads, "This is now, beloved ones, the second letter I write to you, in which I stir up your sincere mind to remember the words previously spoken by the set-apart prophets and of the command of the Master and Savior spoken by your emissaries." Some may say disciples or taught ones. "Knowing this first, that markers shall come in the last days, and walking according to their own lusts, and saying, where is the promise of his coming? For since the Father fell asleep, all continues as from the beginning of creation." Make no mistake, O Yashar'al, we will come away from the countermeasures, the noise, the echoes of needs regarding ventilators, CPR, intubation, and the stirring of spirits. We will come to understand the balance of such. Again, I'm not making light of anyone's hardship or sickness or battles, but I am saying this, O Yashar'al. Hear these words and do not sway, do not be distracted. Know the priorities of leaning into what the Most High is saying. End times will prove the need to demonstrate strength and deliverance, strength and discipline. Deliverance comes, my brothers and sisters. For some, deliverance may come being protected and never exposed to COVID-19 or any other disease or plagues. For some, deliverance may come by taking us to the grave, for to die in Yahusha is gain. For some, deliverance will come where we may have it and be healed. Yashar'al, or we may have it and it does not destroy our earthen vessels. For the power and might, by the word of the Almighty Father, we yet live and we will recover. If we are those who are experiencing such diseases. Yashar'al, strength and discipline in whatsoever state we're in. Let us hold on to our belief and trust in the Almighty Father. Beyond the widespread things that are stated that's needed, we need to discern what the Father, what the Almighty Yahuah in Yahusha's name is saying to us. Let me continue. Yashar'al, remember the life in Hebrews 12:5-8. Let me read it. "And you have forgotten the appeal which speaks to you as to sons. My son, do not despise the discipline of Yahuah, nor faint when you are reproved by him. For whom Yahuah loves, he disciplines and flogs every son whom he receives. If you endure discipline, the Almighty One is treating you as sons. For what son is there whom a father does not discipline? But if you are without discipline, of which all have become sharers, then you are illegitimate and not sons." Some of the arguments and debates that we have, my brothers and sisters, are a result of us trying to protect our pride, our ego, teachings that we may have echoed out to people, words that we may have said to people, and we find out that they're wrong, but we don't want to just yield. We fight against the discipline. But know this: You have heard many teachers say, well, if we do this, Yah will do that, or the Almighty One, or the Most High will do this. If we yield to him, if, and maybe if. I say to you, O Yashar'al, these are end times. The prophecies that have been written will be fulfilled. They require obedience. And we will see that the Almighty Father knows exactly what it takes to bring out the obedience in us to rise up and demonstrate what he has for us. Make no mistake, my brothers and sisters, end times are here. It's time for us to get beyond just the entertaining and playing church. Some of us have left one type of fellowship and worship into becoming awakened, but still exhibiting some of the same entertaining habits without emphasis on what we are to begin to prepare to do and do now for such a time as this. Keep in mind, Yashar'al, Hebrews 12:11 say, and indeed no discipline seems pleasant at the time, but grievous, but afterwards it yields a peaceful fruit of righteousness to those whom have been trained by it. Yashar'al, my brothers and sisters, it's time to discover living plans for moving beyond visible countermeasures. When I say countermeasures, I mean here the Most High is telling us what to do, how to prepare, and step-by-step instructions are coming from those that are receiving the messages and distributing them as the Most High orders. And for others, the countermeasure, the camouflage, the cover-up. You see, the world would rather have us think that doctors are now choosing who lives or die, and that is only in the hands of the Almighty Father. The world would have us think that if there are no ventilators, if there aren't healthcare workers to administer intubation, connect people to ventilators, that the person may not live. But ask any doctor who have been around for a while, and they'll tell you there are times when they must throw their hands up and say, I surrender. I don't know what else to do. And these are the times that the Almighty Father stands out and deliver one as he see fit, when he see fit. O Yashar'al, let us not be overtaken by the cries of man. Let our eyes look forward. Let our visions look before the Almighty Father and begin to identify his plans. White Rose family has a plan, my brothers and sisters. I speak of it often, so therefore I will not go through each line upon line, but it's a plan that will contribute towards deliverance, relocation, which will prove to require lifestyle changes. There will be those included and there will be those left behind. Look at the bullets on this plan, my brothers and sisters. There are some things highlighted that I speak of often, but for the sake of time, and since I speak of it on many other recordings, I will not read it out. But it is a plan that brings about a core structure that contributes towards the unifying of a set-apart awakening nation. And I say to you, O Yashar'al, with any plan there are costs. The slide you look at highlights how you can contribute financially, resources, supplies, skills. Reach out, O Yashar'al. Count the costs. And I use the term use it or lose it because some of the things we have today will not be in our possession tomorrow. Consider the realities of what's unfolding. My brothers, my sisters, visible countermeasures, ventilators, CPR, intubation, and stirring of spirits. What say you? Can you put the priority where it needs to be? Do not ignore the need of ventilators. Do not ignore the need for healthcare workers who understand CPR. Do not disregard the purpose of intubation. But make no mistake, the core strength, the core of our existence is by the word of the Almighty Father. So in spite of all the countermeasures in the media and the hype, the true, the fake, the manipulation of propaganda, in spite of all of the countermeasures that's going out, let us not lose focus. Let us not lose trust. Let us not lose belief that these things are in the hand of the Almighty Father. And he will use us individually and collectively. We will speak truth to power in the name of Yahusha Mashyach. On that note, O Yashar'al, consider when things become loud and visible and a lot of talk is going about it. Consider what the Most High has to say and consider how to respond, how to prepare, how to grow strong in days for such a time as this. We must and we will begin to discern what must and will be done. Ask questions, O Yashar'al. Pray, seek to discern the response from the Almighty Father. Seek to discern and have a willing mind, body, and soul to respond with accuracy, with correctness. On that note, I say to you, I salute your patience, your tolerance, your pursuit of set apartness. Oh, my brother and my sister who seek to do the will of the Almighty Father, our redemption draws near. And my prayer is that you have the strength, the wisdom, the fortitude to endure and to receive what is coming before you, O Yashar'al. On that note, I say to you, you have been watching Visible Countermeasures, Part 4. My name is Symmanayah. Let these words stir your spirit into action. Action as led by the Almighty Father in Yahusha's name. On that note, Shalum.